Kirby Air Riders really catches attention since the first announcements, mainly for being a sequel to the classic Air Ride and for bringing a curious development context. Sakurai's return to Kirby, Bandai Namco's involvement, and that whole aura of celebrating the character's legacy. And for those who only followed through trailers, presentations, and interviews, you can sense a much more structured work environment than the original Air Ride. It seems that this time, the project was born already surrounded by great expectation, both from fans and Nintendo, aiming at the new Switch 2 generation. What marked me most in the presentations was the commitment to expand the concept of city trial, which has always been many people's favorite mode, especially for chaotic matches among friends. Now, the idea of exploring a floating city called Skya and customizing your vehicle before the final matches has become much more ambitious. It's as if the team wanted to show that they learned and evolved everything that worked in 2003, betting heavily on dynamic events and a world full of possibilities. On the technical side, I'm impressed by how this sequel made the visuals cleaner, more vibrant, and easier to follow, while adding layers of depth to the races. There is a concern to balance accessibility with strategic depth, maintaining intuitive controls and few buttons, but creating opportunities for those who really want to master the matches, whether with drifts, boosts, or power combinations. You can see in the demonstrations that the game started as a grand reinterpretation of the classic mechanics, like a tribute that refuses to be just nostalgia. A point that draws attention is how the road trip mode was presented as a kind of collaborative story, where each challenge serves to build the character's journey. It is an approach that escapes that feeling of just racing, trying to give narrative motivation to Kirby and the others, which matches the franchise's vibe well. This brings an unexpected emotional layer to a game of this type, as if it were the road movie version of traditional racers, but within the Kirby logic. When looking at the resources shown and the mood of the promotional events, I feel that the tone was one of celebration between developers and fans. Sakurai now seems much more comfortable. There is less of that feeling of creative struggle behind the scenes and more of someone who is proud of the team and the legacy. The involvement of Bandai Namco and Sora gave everything a super production feel, but without losing the lightness. The interviews themselves surprise by showing a confidence that the game will be a truly different experience. Neither Mario Kart nor F-Zero, but something unique to the Kirby universe. The details about bosses, powers, secret machines, and even a relay mode say a lot about the concern to deliver true variety. It is not about competing with the biggest names in the genre, but about creating another proposal, where any match can turn into something new, thanks to the random events and the chaotic physics of the vehicles. Deep down, from everything I saw and read, Kirby Air Riders seems like one of those rare cases where the developers truly listened to the community to create something celebratory and experimental at the same time. One can notice a special care in uniting nostalgia with innovation without neglecting the charm that made Kirby Air Ride a cult classic. The project seems to bring the best of multiple teams and a legendary director, with the ambition of becoming a reference in party racers, now with the potential to please both those who were fans of the classic and a new audience in this new Switch 2 generation. The game presents a curious mix between simplicity and ambition in its narrative, from what can be understood from what has been disclosed so far. The story, which revolves around the journey through Skya, a floating city full of challenges and secrets, seems more like a pretext to explore the game's universe than a complex script. This reminds me a bit of those games that prioritize the player's experience and freedom, but still want to deliver a bit of emotion and purpose along the way. The concept of an aerial road trip, where Kirby and his friends travel through various locations to prepare for the final competition, brings a light and relaxed atmosphere. I see in this a return to the character's roots, who always had a cheerful vibe, but who here seems to gain an extra layer of adventure. For those who only saw the trailers, it feels like the narrative works more to connect the events of the main mode than to be the central focus. Another point that caught my attention is the way the story seems to want to integrate with the mechanics. The challenges and mini-games within this aerial setting are not just obstacles, but part of the unfolding journey. It seems that the fun of the game will not only be in the race, but in discovering how the story will advance and creating expectations for each stage. It's a very common format today, but in Kirby's case, it acquires a special charm because of the setting and the characters. The charisma of the characters is a strong point in the plot, even if it hasn't been emphasized in the trailers. Kirby, naturally, remains that cute one who doesn't speak, but the expressions and interaction with other characters indicate that there will be moments of humor and lightness. This helps to create a more personal connection with the player, making it seem like the story, although simple, is genuinely felt by those who follow it. I also like the idea of bringing bosses and surprise events during the adventure, which seem to give an extra flavor to the narrative without making it too heavy. It's as if the game were saying, here you can relax and have fun, but without losing that sense of challenge and progression. For a game that has racing and party game as its focus, this is a clever move to maintain interest in the story. From the way everything was shown, it is evident that the story of Kirby Air Riders doesn't try to be revolutionary or dramatic. Instead, it seems to want to convey the pure message of fun and friendship, with lightness and warmth. It is a narrative that doesn't take itself seriously, but that knows exactly what it wants, to be an invitation to have fun, to play together, and to enjoy Kirby's colorful universe. My impression is that this story works well within what the game proposes to be. It is not a plot for those seeking depth and dramatic twists, but for those who want to feel the atmosphere of adventure, challenge, and simple yet well-crafted fun. It's a type of story that makes me excited to play, because it promises a joyful, light experience, with that touch that only Kirby can give. Kirby Air Riders caught my attention precisely because of how it seems to have balanced fluidity and accessibility in the gameplay, something that is often complex to achieve in racing games with a party feel. From the demos and trailers, you can feel that the game maintained the simple and fast essence of the original, but with a much more refined and responsive control. This gave me the idea that the team wanted to ensure that any player, regardless of level, can have fun from the very first second. The use of the single button to accelerate and perform almost all actions, something that marked the original game, has clearly been maintained, but with modern nuances. It seems that they inserted variations of use that increase mastery for those who want to delve deeper, such as drifts, boosts, and special abilities that can be activated at the right time. For me, this is the great charm of the gameplay. It doesn't give itself away easily, but it also doesn't push away more casual players. Another point I was curious about was the diversity of circuits and vehicles, which promise a much greater variety than expected. The fact that you can customize your own vehicle before the challenges adds a strategic touch that complements the accelerated gameplay. From the videos, this customization is not just aesthetic, but impacts the attributes, which makes everything more personal and replayable in my view. The mechanic of the city trial mode, expanded to this floating city Skia, ensures that the gameplay doesn't lose the sense of exploration even within the competition. This makes the game more interesting because it moves away from the pure racing standard, adding a layer of unpredictability and surprise. For me, this is one of the aspects that most differentiates Kirby Air Riders from other racers. The freedom you have to try various strategies and seek different power-ups. The introduction of dynamic events during the matches, such as battles against bosses and obstacles in the middle of the track, seems to me a point that helps to keep the gameplay always fresh. There's no time to fall into monotony, and this is essential for multiplayer games, where maintaining the pace of fun is what keeps the audience coming back. Those who watched have already noticed that the variety of situations makes each race unique, and that is a huge differentiator. I was also impressed with the vehicle physics, which seems to combine lightness with a touch of controlled chaos, which contributes to that feeling that every race is unpredictable yet balanced. The fluidity of movements and the interaction with the environment suggest that the team invested time to create an experience that works both in single-player and multiplayer, a considerable challenge for a party racer. The gameplay of Kirby Air Riders seems to me to be an ideal mix between nostalgia and modernity, with simple mechanics that hide an unexpected depth. You can feel the effort to deliver something accessible, unique, and engaging, which respects the player's intelligence without losing the immediate fun. From everything that was disclosed, I think we will have an experience that will please novices and veterans alike, and that will establish itself as a classic in this new generation. The graphics of Kirby Air Riders caught my attention a lot because of the way they managed to be both modern and faithful to the classic Kirby series style. From the images and videos released, the game adopts a vibrant color palette, with pastel tones that give that cozy and joyful feeling, a trademark of the franchise. This choice conveys a light, fun, and inviting atmosphere, something that perfectly matches the game's proposal. The design of the characters and vehicles maintains that cute and rounded look that every fan expects, but with a much more polished and detailed finish than the original GameCube one. This brings a sense of graphical evolution without losing the visual identity that makes Kirby instantly recognizable. It is noticeable that there was a lot of care to preserve the simplicity of the models, to avoid visually overloading the game and maintain clarity in the action. The scenarios, especially the floating city Skya, show an interesting balance between large open spaces and more detailed areas. The feeling of lightness and fluidity in the environments is reinforced by particles, soft lighting effects, and a well-thought-out job in creating the atmosphere. The movement of the clouds, the dynamic lighting, and the design of the constructions convey a sense of depth and immersion that is surprising for a game of this style. I am also impressed by how the game uses visual effects to enhance the gameplay, without becoming a spectacle that distracts too much. Explosions, glowing power-ups, and movement trails are visuals that reinforce the feeling of speed and impact, but all in moderation. This moderation helps to keep the player's focus on the race itself and on the interaction with the environment and opponents, which is essential for the experience. The use of animations on the characters is simple, but effective. Kirby, his friends, and the enemies move expressively without exaggeration, which gives the game a good identity and reinforces the character's charisma. This choice seems intentional not to divert attention from the gameplay and to maintain the feeling of an accessible and pleasant game, contrary to what would happen with more complex animations. The technical part shows that the team bet on graphics that are optimized to maintain high performance without giving up visual quality. The scene transitions, textures, and particle effects are clean and modern, avoiding that feeling of visual pollution that some modern games have. This visual clarity facilitates not only immersion, but also the reading of the race, something essential in competitive games. The graphics of Kirby Air Riders seem to me to be a perfect combination of innovation and nostalgia, modernity and simplicity. They are well crafted, but without losing the playful personality that defines the Kirby universe. Watching what was disclosed left me certain that the game will deliver a visually enchanting, clear, and fun experience, which converses very well with the old audience and with new players. The game impresses right away with the performance in the images and videos released. The fact that it works with a colorful, vibrant, and effect-filled visual without losing fluidity seems to me a great merit of the technical team. It is noticeable that there was special care to ensure that the game runs stably, delivering a smooth experience even in moments with many elements on the screen, which is essential for racing and multiplayer games. From the demonstrations, the frame rate seems to be very stable, probably running at 60 FPS, which is almost mandatory for games focused on precision and reflexes. This stability helps to create that sense of control that is so important in racing games, where even milliseconds count. Observing the action happening without freezes or performance drops ensures that the player remains immersed, without technical frustrations. Another point that caught my attention was the fast loading between modes and stages, something that many modern games still don't get right very well. This suggests that the team managed to balance optimization and visual details well, delivering a product that respects the player's time and maintains the rhythm of fun without uncomfortable pauses. For those who are used to the accelerated pace of the original Kirby Air Ride, this is a fundamental point. The optimization for the new Switch 2 generation also seems to be at the center of the concerns. The game manages to explore the hardware to create large floating scenarios full of details, but all this without compromising the gameplay. This demonstrates technical work focused on efficiency, something that can ensure longevity for the game and a solid foundation for future updates and additional modes. It is also interesting to note that, even with a more polished and modern visual, the game maintains a graphical lightness that contributes to overall performance. It doesn't seem like they embarked on an ultra-detailed visual that demands too much from the hardware, but rather on an aesthetic direction that values style and clarity, which seems to me an intelligent decision both to preserve performance and to maintain the franchise's identity. In the multiplayer part, which is the focus of the game, The promise is of a lag-free experience with fast and dynamic matches, as commented in interviews and preliminary analyses. This aspect is crucial for the game's acceptance in casual competitive play. And from the community's reactions, it seems that the team managed to deliver this stability, which further increases the expectations for the launch. Looking at everything that was shown, my impression is that Kirby Air Riders is a title that knows very well how to balance technical performance and visual appeal. It is not only beautiful, but also efficient and fluid, providing that sense of a premium game that respects the player on various levels. This made me quite excited to see how this performance holds up when the game is in the hands of the public and in real situations of intense gameplay. Kirby Air Riders definitely put me in that good doubt that we have when a game wants to mix nostalgia with innovation. From the information and videos I saw, it seems that the game keeps the fun and light soul of the original, but bringing novelties that greatly expand the experience, especially with modes like the revamped City Trial and the Road Trip mode. For those who, like me, grew up playing the classic, this combination of the past with new ideas is already a great attraction. The gameplay, from what was shown, seems to be truly accessible, but with enough depth to please both casual players and those who like to delve into the nuances and competition. This makes the game a good purchase if you like to invite friends to play with for parties or even online matches, and I think this versatility is one of the title's greatest strengths. It gives that feeling that it will never tire easily. Visually, Kirby Air Riders is beautiful and charismatic, without a doubt. The work on the colorful design and the detailed but clear environments helps to create a scenario that is a delight to explore and watch. For me, this counts a lot because a game that is pleasing to the eye is more likely to be loved for a long time, and Kirby delivers this masterfully. Furthermore, the performance is very stable, which complements the experience with fluidity and fast response time. The only point that makes me think is that the main focus is still very specific. Party-style racers with a focus on multiplayer and uncommitted fun. If you don't really like this genre, you might not find as much value, even with all of Kirby's charm. But, for those who are fans of local or online multiplayer and like a fun and chaotic little race, it seems to be a full plate. Another factor that weighs on me is the history and involvement of Sakurai, in addition to the joint work with large studios like Bandai Namco. This conveys a technical and creative confidence that makes me believe that the game is not just a mere commercial product, but a very polished experience designed to please fans. This attention to detail is usually a guarantee of quality that is worthwhile. Thinking about the cost benefit, I believe that Kirby Air Riders has great potential to justify the purchase, especially if you like games that work well in a group and provide quick and varied fun. For those who collect Kirby games or love racing games with a unique touch, the investment seems more than justified by the content and modes presented. My personal opinion is that it is very worthwhile to buy Kirby Air Riders if you want something that unites nostalgia with innovation, that works superbly well to play with friends, and that brings that pleasant feeling of uncomplicated fun. For me, what was disclosed is already enough to create the expectation of a game that will stand out and be played for a long time, especially at gatherings and parties. It is one of those purchases that are easy on the wallet and deliver a lot of joy.